good evening, and calm down, ladies. It's the four handsome chappies again. The bald behemoth, I'm the behemoth anyway, at least. As you can see, I'm not even sitting on a chair here. This is just my own fact that I'm sitting on my ass. It's American Scouser TV Thursday Night Podcast, ASTVTNP for the cool kids. The first post-season for Liverpool one. And you know, this is the fun, positive show. We won't dwell too much on the sad things in life, but of course, a tragic event on Sunday. Thankfully, nobody died. I hope, but still, a dark cloud on a very silver lining day for us. And then, of course, today's the anniversary of the Heysel disaster, so we always keep those souls in our thoughts and prayers. But tonight we're going to keep it lighthearted, and we are going to talk about United, just for the start, just because I've never had such a morning laugh as seeing that they lost to an Asian All-Stars team after having a bus parade in wherever they are, and they're just a joke and gift that keeps on giving. Rumours of coaching changes involving Liverpool, Ajax, and the ugliest but most lovable forward of the last 20-odd years, possibly. But we loved him anyway. He's a great old slot-looking, high-scoring, Man United killing machine. Dear Kite, we'll talk a bit about that. Signings. What's happening with them? We'll have a chat about that, and whether Frimpong is a wing back or a right back. We'll definitely get into that one, just for funzos. And then room 433 to end it all, because that's what we're all about. We're all about the entertainment and the controversy, and that's just my hairline. So we're joined by Brian, Suzie, and Cozzy as always. How are we, gentlemen? All good, I hope.
Good. Lovely.
And a big hello to Alan and. Nothing brings a smile to the face to Mitch and says like United misery, and it certainly doesn't. So let's start with this nonsense. The open top bus tour of 4 players, and then I also saw a very quick clip of them signing autographs with the most miserable "what the hell am I doing here" faces I've ever seen. Since Macho Man Randy Savage was wondering where Elizabeth was that time. So they were getting old school now. So number one, let's start with this. How stupid was it to have an end of season tour in Asia after you've had one of the worst seasons in your modern history, and then lost the final in one of the worst finals of European caliber that ever was? You're stuck with Ruben Amorim, as Cozzy, and I've started to see people like Mark Albridge and a few other pundits and hear a few pundits talking about what Cozzy's been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks. They have a bloated squad they can't get rid of unless people are going to pay a ton of money. But who's going to pay a ton of money for the 15th best players in the Premier League who can't beat Spurs to a trophy? Gentlemen, United, they just get better and better for entertainment purposes, don't they?
Yes. I feel like when I think they've hit like a new low, they find a lower part. Like, I reckon they're going to be on that like Ocean Gate, going down, see the Titanic soon, and they just implode. Because I feel like that's going to happen eventually. The reason why they went to Malaysia, Mac, and I do have to say this, is that they were skint, and they were getting paid £3 million to go and play that game because they're absolutely skint and they have no money and they need every single penny that they can get. So, the $3 million, I think it was $3 million at the end, to cover Casemiro's wages for about 3 months. So, not bad. But yeah, I mean, it's probably the hardest job in football right now. I don't say that lightly either. I'm being genuine. I think it is the hardest job in football, just because I don't know what any manager does. And of course, you can improve them, get them to 10th, or we win a cup and we have a great time. And when United are back, and so you get rid of 12 players, they're not back. And the big thing that, again, I always go back to like Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp got rid of 9 players in the first summer. He sized them up in the first season and went, I'm getting rid of all these. But the problem is, there's no buyers. They're on long contracts and all on big wage. And there's definitely going to be a part when you're speaking to ownership going, hey, we're not going to take a £60 million bath on Højlund, so make it work. You know what I mean? We're not going to take a £40 million bet on Xerxes, so make it work. So that doesn't help your PSR issues as well when you do sell them. That really goes against you. So yeah, it's hilarious from our point. But I think if I was a United fan, I would be up nightly in the summer worrying about this. I really would. Like there's genuine arguments here of looking at the free transfers, and there's really good players, of just picking up some solid Premier League players and just go, for example, Kyle Walker-Peters. Can he just do a job right back for me? Like, can he just, I know fullback isn't a big issue for them because they've got Dallo and players like that, whatever. But you're at that stage going, we just need some solid Premier League players, just someone who can actually play Premier League football, because they've got a lot who aren't. And the thing about selling Bruno, they probably got, how many sellable assets do you think they've got, Chance? I keep thinking about this with United. 4. And I was being generous.
Almost.
I had Diallo, who they just given a new contract to. Bruno, who's 30. Garnacho. And maybe... I said maybe Delit. Do you know what I mean? The rest, mate, I'm all... Do you know? And that's a bigger part. You can't even just say... For example, if I look at Everton a lot, of course, because of where I'm from. Everton losing 10 players. There's someone on a free. So they can rebuild. They have the space to rebuild. They also have a player like Jared Brantwaite who can fetch 70 million. So that helps them when a player can get 70 million. I think Bruno's probably worth 50 to 60 because of his age. I don't know where to go. I really don't.
So Mike Shadden has never been more frighted with Manchester United right now. But the thing about it for me, and not so much Hicks and Gillette, but certainly the whole Kamali and then Christian, what was his face, whose name I can't even be bothered to remember, that was running things through the... the kind of idea that, well, Joe Cole is the name. Let's get Joe Cole in. Roy Hodgson's a safe pair of hands. Let's get, kind of knowledgeless almost management. Is this a possible sliding doors vision of what could have happened to Liverpool had FSG not come in with an actual plan?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think, the best thing about Gillett and Hicks that happened was we saw how far Liverpool, we would literally hit the bottom, and the only way out of it was to bounce back or go into administration. We're complaining about Americans not knowing football and so forth, whatever. But for all the detractors that FSG have, we won our 2 league titles. We've had probably the 2 best managers since the 90s under them. Probably seen the best players we've ever seen under them in regards to Alisson, Van Dijk, Salah, Mane, Bobby. So it's we got lucky, and I know we had this discussion last week, and where Kazi was saying that Man United, there's probably going to be 3 worse teams than them to stop Man United going down. But just looking at Man United, it's just such a mess. Like, you look at the managers that we've had, we've always had some kind of football identity, where it was pass and move or whatever, and no one knows what Man United is. Like, you keep getting these new managers, and they'll have different styles of play, but the previous managers already spent, close to £1 billion on these ex players. New manager comes in, he doesn't want these players, and then he brings in new players that he wants for his style. He doesn't work, so then the new manager comes in with his style, and all you're doing is just you have a bunch of dead wood, so much dead wood. You can't even float on it. It's just dead wood, and that's how Everton got themselves in their mess, because they just kept trying to buy themselves out of trouble. Manager wasn't working out. New manager wants a different style of players, and it's. Obviously, I'm happy on this end to see this. But yesterday in Malaysia, going to Malaysia, it's like Mark Goldbridge said, they went there to try and increase a new fan base. If anything, they got rid of whatever fan base they had. They got rid of them just because of one, losing out there. 2, not many people turned out. And then if you look at all the aftermath afterwards, Garnacho flipping people off, what's the name? the other Ahmad doing the same, and it was just a PR nightmare for him. And I just, you question people like players like Kuna. Why would you want to go to Man United? It doesn't make sense. You want to go to a better club. Like literally, Wolves are a better club than Man United. Like in terms of playing wise and where they are right now in the league and so forth. Yeah, Man United are the biggest club financially in England. They're bigger than us financially. But that's what they're doing. They're just dining out on their name right now, and sooner or later, that's gonna finish. It's just everything about that club. It's laughable. It's funny. It couldn't happen to a better club, and I really do think that they're going to be fighting relegation again next year. And, Kaja said it's the hardest job. It really isn't. It's like winning the lottery. You're going to go there, you're going to fail, and you're going to get a big payoff. And then along comes another manager. Who else are they going to get? There's no one worth the salt who actually cares about the reputation that's going to want to go there, because it's just too much of a mess from head to bottom.
I think Sam Allardyce could get a job there. Get Big Sam in.
That's where they're at.
Get into the match 40-point mark. No, but I agree with everything that you just said. I just think a player like Kuna is interesting. I don't think he's as good as what people think he is. By the way, I think he's a fine Premier League player, but I just think that when you get to that level and step up, you've got to do it every week. I think he might have like the Jermaine Defoe, Robbie.
Would you put one that like same level as like Adam Lallana kind of? He has some talent, just not consistent.
Maybe not. I just think sometimes, mate, you can get away with it 1-5 at Wolves or 1-4. You can perform. And I thought Robbie Keane, again, that's not disrespectful to those type of players. I think they were tremendous football players, by the way. But like Jermaine Defoe, why didn't they get the big move? Like Robbie Keane comes to Liverpool for 6 months and he's out. They're like, no. Do you know what I mean? Like, by the way, that's when Liverpool were in dire straits when he came to Liverpool financially. So I always feel like he might have that something about him. But the thing is, though, going back to it, that's exactly what they need right now. Is just a solid Premier League player. It is that type of player that you need. Is it that type of player who's going to win the Premier League or win your trophies and that? No, but I don't think that's not the goal anymore. That's the other part. That's not the goal.
I mean, objectively, that probably you're probably right, but United won't see it that way because they think they should be up at the top table eating the steaks where everybody else is eating the beef.
Like that, no. I think the fans have been humbled. Completely. Yeah. I think they've just been beaten the literally. Again, I keep saying this when people go, Liverpool at the dire 90s. Liverpool have never finished below 8th since the 60s. We haven't finished 16th in the league, gents. Like let's fucking have it right here. This is literally dire straits, and I think the fans have kind of realised how bad it is, and I think they've just been humbled.
I think one of the big problems right there also is the amount of debt that are served against the club. I mean, if you think about that right there, that the amount of debt that that owed to the Glacier family, it's astronomical right there, because they basically did what we talked about with Hicks and Gillette did. They just saddled the club with debt to buy it. I mean, this is a big scheme that they did right there, and then nobody's wanted to come there and meet the valuation to ever do it. They floated them on the stock market, and that turned into a problem. I mean, so there's so many issues right there. But it goes back to what you were talking about last week right there with those wages. Even with getting these players off your books right there, it's almost impossible because I mean, if the type of players that they draw in there that are making the 300, 350 range, they're not going to see that 350 range anywhere else that they go to. I mean, if you go across into the continent right there, that 350 is taxed right there to 40 to 50%. So you're basically talking, you're making maybe about 150,000 a week right there versus what you'd be making in England. I mean, so it's just a whole different animal right there. And I still think that you have the players who are willing to make to make that push. I mean, because where else are you going to see those wages at? Probably Saudi. Probably the only places you probably going to see those wages at, which I think is a good possible destination for Bruno. I mean, it's probably what's going to wind up happening right there. Because again, it goes back to how many people are willing to pay 60, 75 mil for Bruno in the continent right now. I don't still see any clubs out there willing and also to hammer out the wages that he has. I mean, it's like you go to a point where you only have that with it. It's because Saudi's the new China. I mean, basically, you're just they're floating astronomical wages at players. I mean, that they have to move on. I mean, we're going to be dealing with that market too soon. I mean, because that's probably where Darwin Nunez is what I'm going to wind up going to. Possibly even Diaz right there. I mean, but there's players right there are going to make that same path. But I think that United's biggest issue that they have looking forward to is where do you go from here? I mean, what do you do?
I think sometimes, gents, I do feel like it's you've just got to stand still sometimes, and you can just do it, just getting the outs and just saying, let's be frank here, they're not getting relegated. You can sit there, we can all sit there and be like, United will get over 40 points. The 3 teams who are coming up and not getting 40 points, all 3 of them, or maybe one of them might. So sometimes you can just go, you know what, can we just stand still? We have no European football, so we're playing once a week. So let's look at the positives here, right? Because there's some positives. If you do keep hold of Bruno, Diallo, he wants Garnacho out the door as quick as possible. You get Kuna in. Well, they're 3 attacking players who can probably get you a combined 35 goals next season, 30 goals combined between all 3 of them. And I think that's being fair. Well, that's a nice start. I just think sometimes you're not always as far away as you think you are. I think sometimes, like Nottingham Forest have proved that, you're not always as far away as you think they are. I think the gap overall is big to maintain it and sustain it for 5 years. I mean, that gap's big. But to do it on a one-off season, the problem is with United, if they do get that one-off season, they can go big. That's the issue with United, because they got the money then. They get the Champions League and just go, bang, we can go big here. Do you know what I mean? I think what they could genuinely do this year is just try and get rid of as many as possible and sign 2 or 3. Honestly, and just get rid of the bloated ass garbage squad that they've got and just get 2 or 3 back players like Harry and Mass and people like that they've got knocking on. They've got that Chibu Obi, the young striker who played a little bit for them towards the end. Give him a knock, because what have you got to lose at this point?
Let me ask you this, though, gentlemen. We can go with Suzy to start. Whatever they need on the field, is Ruben Amorim, who's already thrown all of his players under the bus before he was even foot feet on the table, is he the man to get them to where they need to be, or is Sam Allardyce their next port of call?
For me, it's the man, absolutely. And long may it continue. There's no manager that can say just everything, even off the field, as Brian has mentioned, being in the stock market. Since last year, they've dropped 16% in terms of the stock prices. After Ratcliffe took over, the valuation of clubs drops 60%. In actual price value, they're only worth 2.6 billion right now, where they were floating around 5 billion to Qatar at the time. And as Kazi was saying, that the Glazers won't sell. And then why would they? Man United is a cash cow. Until that legacy of that name starts running out, they're a cash cow. And the only way they come out of this is 2 miracles, because either the ESL comes to life and everything just gets ripped up and everyone starts again, and Man United can maybe try and sort a name on that basis, or they get bought out. Because even Sky, if you look at Sky numbers now, viewers numbers, they're dwindling, and it's not sustainable. What Sky have been paying and everything else, it's just not sustainable anymore. And sooner or later, John Henry's ideal television rights, where every club's going to have their own pay-per-view, I think that's eventually going to come into effect. But by the time that happens, Man United just aren't going to have the same people trying to watch them anymore. There's clubs that now, Tottenham now have got this resurgence in America. I don't know about anywhere else in the States, but definitely in California. Now I'm starting to see Tottenham Hotspur shirts here and there, who know nothing about Spurs. All they know is that they won a European competition, and winning prizes, especially global prizes, they're big, because you start getting some viewerships and everything else. Until Man United start winning something globally, or buy a big name player like Cristiano Ronaldo, or someone of that nature that's going to have a global impact, and no one of that impact is going to go to them. They're just really just fighting a losing battle, and the problem with Man United, they don't want to take things step by step, as Kazi was saying. They have this belief that they deserve to, dine at the top table, and that's all it is for them. There's no middle ground for them, and until they actually accept where they are, and like Forest, and just start building themselves way back up slowly, it's just a free fall for them.
Brian, what do you think? Is it time for a change already at Man United? Or like to see, do you wish and hope that they keep Ruben Amorim for as long as possible?
I think with Amaron right there, I think that he has to get players that can buy into his philosophy, and that's actually having decent center backs to play a black three. And he doesn't have that. That's the problem at the moment. I mean, he's got young players who have potential right there with Heaven coming in there. I mean, and they have kids, but they don't have seasoned professionals that can play a back three. They also don't have the actual keeper that's reliable enough to be in that position. So until he gets his pieces and has some money to do that, then I mean, you're going to see they're still going to be struggling around that bottom half of the table. Are they going to get relegated? No, because Burnley, Leeds, and Sunderland are just ready just to go right back down. I mean, because there's nobody in the league except for maybe if Wolves go there, why not selling João Pedro and Cunha leaves, and then that will probably be the only team that has potential of competing for one of those relegation spots. Other than that, right there, I think that Amaran, they've invested too much money. They've already fired enough managers right there that they're paying. They don't need anybody else on wage bills that they have to keep on paying off. I mean, because they're still technically, I think they were at one point they were still paying Mourinho right there. I think like 2 years ago that they were still paying him. I mean, so it's just crazy right there. So I mean, if they have to come up there, they're in a point position now. They have to rely on Amaran. That's it. They're at the point.
So Jamie says he'd rather talk about contracts, Darwin and Trent than United. I'm pretty sure United fans would say the same. They always talk about us anyway, Jamie, to be fair. They always talk about us. So on that note, let's talk about this thing here. I thought it was a very interesting. So Johnny Hitanga going to Ajax. I hope that doesn't happen. He seems to have had a good positive effect on the team in general, despite the fact that he is tainted by Everton forever and ever and ever. There's no hope for the boy. Pep Linders going to City, and Dirk Kuyt being rumoured as somebody that a slot might bring in. Although I had to look at his managerial record so far, and it is not very good. It is below average, below even Roy Hodgson so far. Yeah, so not really encouraging, although it could always be one of those kind of, great as an assistant manager, but never as the manager. The first point I want to ask you, and I'll start with Cozzy. Pep Linders to City, if that was a thing, if it was real, how would you feel about that? I'm not sure I feel good about that, given the rivalry and the closeness of the rivalry and the cheating, etc., etc. But he's an ambitious coach, and he wants to get ahead in the world, I'm sure. And he has proven himself to maybe not be the best at the number one job, but definitely is an excellent number two. What would the feeling, do you think, be among the Anfield faithful for that move if it happened?
I don't care, really. I just don't care. I have no skin in the game on this, to be honest. I think for him, it would be a great move to work under Klopp and Pep. It's really cool. It's really great for him in terms of that. But, I'm just really into him shouting intensity at John Stones in training. I'm just really into that. That's fucking hilarious. John Stones can't run anymore. He's just going, intensity. I don't know. What are you talking about? But, listen, you've got to do what's best for your career. Do you know what I mean? Whatever he's done at Liverpool, he was an assistant coach. He was I don't care about assistant coaches, really. Maybe I should. I don't know. But they just don't tickle me fancy as much as the coaches. Do you know what I mean? They basically put the cones out and do a few trainings.
Well, that wasn't true for him because Klopp was an old school, standing on the side of the kind of training field. Pep actually ran the sessions, designed the sessions.
Yeah, but
and we know this because he wrote a book about it.
Of course, we don't talk about it. But you design the sessions, and everyone knows who the daddy is, don't they? Everyone knows who the main man is, which is the manager. So that's why the book stops with the manager. I don't know, mate. I just don't. I have no skin in the game. I don't care if he goes there, whatever. Good luck to him. You know what I mean. I don't know if City feel like that about Arteta. Maybe I don't know. But
let me ask you this then, in a kind of a bigger sense. How did you feel about Rafa going to Chelsea and then Everton after that? Is that the same kind of thing, or was that a different thing because he was the manager?
Nah, yeah, because he was the manager. He won us the European Cup, and I think that's an age thing as well, because when he came into my life, I was like 14, and that was like God. You know what I mean? Like that was like everything to me. And so no, I was more frustrated with Chelsea than Everton. To be honest, I always had that feeling around Everton. To be honest, I know this is might be controversial for people to say, but the players who play for both sides who we love, and there's, you know what I mean, players like Peter Beardsley and Gary Ablin and players like that who play for both sides, who we, you know, again, absolutely love. I love Nick Barmby and all the Toffees. Don't direct transfer. That was it. He didn't have any other club in between. That was completely direct. But again, so maybe that's
Abel Xavier, wasn't it? He was
of course. But yeah, I mean, so there's players who've done it, and I just feel like with an assistant manager, I genuinely have no skin in the game. I don't even want to know the assistant manager's name at my club. I don't care. Oh my God, did you see him, like the goalkeeping coach or like the fourth? Not interested. And maybe that's just like the old school of me, where it's just like the manager, a few of his mates, and the lads basically, and that's how it is. I hate knowing the names of owners. I know that's a modern day football thing. I couldn't even tell you David Moore's name until I was about 17. It's like, who was that owner? What's happened here? He sold it to a bunch of cowboys. What's going on? I want his head on a plate as soon as possible. So maybe I don't know, but yeah.
I don't know. I think like Peter Robinson was always coming out like whenever he won a trophy when I was growing up. So we kind of knew because he was always there. We didn't see him before that, but as soon as there was a trophy.
Slightly off on a tangent, when I first moved to America, and this is for our American audience, of course, when I initially seen the NBA finals and then they give the trophy to the owner first.
Yeah.
And I was like, has he been guarding Curry all day? Is he along with Curry? Like, has he played? Has he had a game this year? Is he injured? Is he 65 and he's injured? Like, I couldn't believe they give it to the owner first. My fucking head fell off. But there we are.
They do that for the Super Bowl as well, don't they? It's the owner.
That's wild, isn't it? Could you imagine John Henry taking the Premier League trophy on the weekend? Just like, nah, I'll hold this first. They're nuts.
What was I was going to say? So, Brian, so let's go in the other direction. Johnny Hittinga to Ajax. Again, you know, if you're Cozzy, it's much of a muchness probably, but is that a sign of how well Arne Slot has, like, you know, promoted his coaches? Because I'm all about coaching trees. Simply because I think the Alex Ferguson coaching tree, to borrow that American phrase, is ridiculously bad for somebody who was so successful, and everybody says, oh, you learn so much when you're in. That's why we should be getting Mark Hughes in. He's learned so much from Alex Ferguson, and then they fail miserably, which means it's not about that. It's, you know, there's you got to be a coach of your own right and have ideas, etc. But when you see people going out, and we can laugh at Brendan Rodgers as we always do, but his coaching tree is actually quite decent. Coaches go out and do good. Like Chris Davis is killing it with Birmingham down there. When they were League One, wherever Wrexham was.
In the league, haven't they?
Yeah, by a lot, like 100 points or something like that they got in the end. Like that's a good performance and a good way to do it. I was at Celtic in the Champions League. I have to be at Spurs in the. I'll just go drop all the way back down here. And I actually admire Wayne Rooney for doing that. He hasn't looked for glory at all. He's gone right back down.
Lampard's the same.
I just don't like Lampard. I just don't like Lampard. But yeah, you're right. He did do that. Yeah,
like to take a step back.
Yeah,
succeeded so much and go. You know what? I'll take a lot.
It is admirable as much as slimy as he is as a person. But but is that an impressive thing? You know that Slot can at least spot somebody who has a bit of coaching talent in them.
And I think that Heidegger has been working on his badges and back behind the scenes for a while since he was there. So I think this is a pretty good move. And you know that whole move started with the whole domino effect of Xabi going to Real, then Ten Hag coming there and going to Leverkusen, and then that left that gap open. And it's probably a natural progression right there to go over to the Dutch league and play, and where I think he was an assistant manager at one point there anyway. So I think it's a good natural move for him right there. And he did come there and manage. Actually was in the stands right there for when Slot was put out for his red card. I think for like 2 or 3 matches. I think he stood in for Slot.
Yeah,
and he came there and managed the system and came there to save the ship. I mean, in a Premier League side right there to manage this level to go back to, not to knock back the Eredivisie, but the Eredivisie is a big step backwards right there. I mean, as far as like a managerial experience goes. And I think that right there for an assistant manager to come there and take that job at Ajax, which is not a massive, it's a massive club to be in advantage of. I mean, it's like them or PSC Eindhoven. I mean, those are. And then those are two massive clubs in European lore. I mean, so I'd jump at the job if I was assistant manager, especially a Dutch assistant manager.
Yeah, it's a positive. By the way, the Ajax team. That's a great point by the way. That team should have won the league. They were 11 points clear with 6 to go or 7 to go.
Yeah.
So he's walking in there as well to a boss squad, to the biggest club in Holland with an unbelievable squad. Who should have won the league. So he's probably like, now I can just make a couple of little tactical adjustments, 1 or 2 players, and I'll win the league. And then before you know it, he might be coming back in 5 years. So you know what I mean? I think it's a great move for him personally. I think it's a wonderful move for any Dutchman to manage Ajax. Is big.
Let me ask you this, then. If the rumors of Dirk Kuyt coming to Liverpool is true, is that like almost like an emotional thing? Because we all love Dirk. He was a fantastic servant, and you look at the likes of David Beckham, and you look at the likes of Xavi Alonso, and you just sit there thinking these are gorgeous men. I could never achieve what they've achieved because they have looks on top of everything else. And then Dirk Kuyt comes out, and he goes, "I look like him. I can't play like him, but I look like him." He was a great. He was the kind of, the almost the heart and soul of that team sometimes, as much as Gerrard was. You just the one you got behind, and you willed him to do well. But would that be? I mean, his record as a manager isn't great. Would that be just one of those kind of, the way Gerard Houllier hired Phil Thompson to be his assistant manager? It gave him another link back to the past and a little bit of authority. Do you think that might be the case there, if that is a true rumor?
I don't think Slot needs that. I think Houllier needed that, or wanted that, because it was a different era. Slot doesn't need that. He just come in, just moonwalked the Premier League, won it. So he doesn't need that link with the community now. I think that Dirk Kuyt is just someone just put that in the air because he's Dutch, ex-Liverpool player, and trying to put 2 and 2 together. I personally think it's going to be Marina Pusic, because I think that's who Slot originally wanted, but he was committed to Shakhtar, but he's available now. So I think if we, it just sounds weird talking about assistants, but yeah, I think if we do get one, well, obviously we're going to get one, but I think it'll be Marina Pusic. I think that was Slot's first choice last year. But I mean, assistants come and go, and that's how Ferguson kept winning Man United, kept winning seasons at Man United. He just kept changing his assistant because there's a new voice every 2 seasons, a new voice, and he wasn't going to quit. And the players are too expensive to replace, so you just change your voices every 2 years. I remember when Paco Ayestaran left. I thought, oh my God, we're going to fall off, and then we did better. And as Timogen said, like when Buvac left, we thought, oh God, we're going backwards, but we didn't. We move on, and players need new voices every season too. And yeah, it's good. I think it's good all around. It's assistants. I just don't pay too much loyalty to assistants like we do to coaches.
Mr. Bratton says he thinks it's a merit hire if it goes through. My question, Brian, is where's the merit? If he has a 25% managerial rate, win rate rather, that's, I mean, an average one is 33%. Win, lose, draw every 3 games, but he is less than that. I don't find that encouraging. That tells me somebody can't get his ideas across the players. And he has been managing across 2 clubs. Would you expect an assistant manager to show a little bit more than that? It's coming from the man. Like I'd expect. I know it didn't work out great for Pep Linders being the manager, but I don't think his record was that bad. It just wasn't as good as it needed to be. Like a coach should be able to get their ideas across, right?
I mean, they were almost for Pep Linders. He was like adrift in the Australian Bundesliga by something like 15 points at one point. That's why he came there and got let go, because he had spent this money right there for these players. But again, I'm almost like what Kazi says right there. I really don't care a lot of ways right there. Those guys right there should be there to be voices and stuff like that. I mean, it goes the same thing with United right there. How many of their assistant managers came out that went to be successful? I can't think of very many at all. I mean, that left underneath of Alex Ferguson that actually were successful. I mean, the same thing goes right there with many clubs right there. You're there to go out there and do a job. You're there to go out there and run training. You're there to go out there to assist the manager. I mean, or do that point right there. Again, right there, it's like a couple of years ago when everybody was so up. Hey, we need to go out there and go and hire Gerard back there to go into this coach's staff. And that whole time I was like, absolutely not. I just think that would have been sometimes a big distraction, sometimes a big problem. And I think that in the long run with there is that I'd rather have a no-name assistant manager that just goes there and does what he has to do than go there and then draw attention. I mean, I think that we got to the end right there where Pep Linders drew attention to issues and problems, and I think that that's something that you have to avoid. And I think, man, same thing goes right there. Rotate them out every couple of years right there. Put another assistant in there, get another voice. People's voices get stale, ideas get stale, and stuff like that. By freshening things up, you get a different perspective.
I think it's funny that the manager I think that has the best coaching tree of the modern age is Jose Mourinho.
Yes,
Steve Clark, Brendan Rodgers, Andre Villas-Boas, like that's not bad for somebody who was only there to win and nothing else. Mm-hmm. Youth teams, what a day! They don't let me win. Yeah. But Jose's back and making us all jealous with the sun there because it's been grey and dull over here in New England for the whole week almost. So let's go on to the next sets of rumours and the talk that we were having slightly before we went on air. Now, there's Zubimendi and there's the lap. The noises are that Arsenal have pretty much wrapped up Zubimendi, and Delap is essentially a Chelsea player in all but name. We've talked about this before, about you see the deal, so go do the deal. We've been told that Wirtz is essentially signing. We've been told that Frimpong is essentially signing. Kirk is essentially done. But are they? My question is to you boys, we'll start with Cozzy. Are they still in the rumour stage, or are you confident that these things are actually getting done? Because it seems like yet again other clubs are getting their deals done with a lot more efficiency than we seem to ever do.
Yes, I think they are getting done. I think all three probably will get done. I think the Wirtz is a lot more complicated than what people think. You don't just... For people who don't know, you just don't Venmo 120 million over to someone. Like, that's not a thing. Like, that's not how transfers work. Transfers get paid over the amount of...
You mean they don't bring wheelbarrows full of cash into the clubs?
Honestly, like Scrooge McDuck, where they just throw it. But it's not like that, unfortunately, in modern football. Frimpong, I think, has happened very quickly, because he had a buyout clause and it was just basically easy as that. I felt like Szoboszlai happened quickly a couple of years ago because he just had the 60 million buyout clause and Liverpool had to pay it. For the other ones, I think there's a... Because let's be frank here, if you're Bournemouth, you're going to drag your heels off for Kirkes. And the reason why, because you've just sold Huijsen, you don't need to sell the other one. And you go, no. So the price is 55 million, let's say it is, but we think he's 45, and we don't care, we don't need the money. So that's how a negotiation works, because they've got money technically in off Huijsen. So this is all the big, again, and then, of course, Wirtz is available, according to Leverkusen, and I think that will get done. But again, you've got to structure the deal in a way where it's beneficial for everyone. I think there's a part of this, Liverpool, and I think this has happened previously, where we've probably been caught sleeping a little bit and kind of took the word of a player a bit too figuratively, maybe, in certain aspects. Maybe like a Tchouaméni and players like that, when we felt like we were just linked with them forever, and you just go to Madrid, or something like that. So again, it's difficult for me, this gents, because the window isn't even open and we're asking for signings. It's not even open. Like,
it's on Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah, this weekend, mate. Yeah, the first are open. So I just feel like we also need to, I think, that rings a bell as well. The parade incident, I think, is definitely delayed for Frimpong. But it's also part of Wirtz is close. They might want to just do a double header, like an old school double header. You know what I mean? Get them both in. Do you know what I mean? Remember those days when it was like Hule and Thompson standing there with 5?
Gall and Metallic.
It's literally 5 of the worst footy players you've ever seen. And then when Titi Kamara and Erich Meyer signed, and you're like, oh, baby, these are the steady heights.
Kamara's a legend.
Oh, but yeah, just for that goal against Arsenal, I know what you're going to say. But yeah, I mean, listen, again, I think they will get done, Mac. I don't think we should panic just yet. Do you know what I mean? I think if it carries on, like I would say, another 10 days, and none of them are confirmed. But by the sounds of it, I think Frimpong's all but done anyway. So.
Brian, there we go. I thought he was posing there for a second. I think he was voguing there, but his camera just froze for a second. Brian, now, in terms of Wirtz, one of the things I saw on the BBC thing was Real Madrid might be having a look at him. Is this just paper talk for clicks, etc., or is it something to be worried about because Xabi Alonso is there now?
I don't think it's anything to worry about right there because, again, right there, who do you move from that midfield? I mean, right there, also the same thing. And what players are willing to move out of that midfield at Real Madrid? That's the problem you have right there. And who's Xabi warning to get out of that midfield? So, I mean, that's where your problem you have. And I don't think there's a space for Wirtz right there in that right at the moment in there. I mean, you can only play so many players at one time. I mean, and if you're in the wage structure right there that he's probably going to ask to go to Real Madrid, it's going to be so different right there. It's going to throw them out of whack. I mean, so I don't think I think it's all paper talk and all that. And I agree with what Kazi said right there. These things right there it's not a one-off thing. Hey, I'm going to give you 100 mil and say, here you go. It's a lot of structuring, a lot of things like they're talking about and figuring out through there. So, even on the Kirkes thing right there with that, I mean, I know we're wheeling dealing players at the same time. So we're trying to sweeten deals right there, and it's like what we talked about, like it was like last week. I think that Harvey is getting in play somewhere through this whole process right there. And I don't know whether it's going to wind up being Harvey going to Bayer Leverkusen and some kind of make weight, or he's going to go over to Bournemouth as a make weight. But he's going to be a make weight at one of these clubs right there for one of these players right there to try to get to sweeten that deal. I wouldn't even go there and knock out Kelleher in this situation right there. But I do think Keller is probably pretty solid. Probably Brentford is pretty hard right at the moment. And I think that's probably going to wind up happening because I think we have a pretty decent relationship with Brentford right now, and I think that is I think that's something that we owe to Kelleher at the same point right there to give him that number one spot somewhere. But yeah, I mean, I think the deal like this is I think we're going to wrap up these 3 deals. I mean, and then after that, I think I think that'll be it for this window. When we come back into it, it's going to be a lot of selling. And I mean, that's going to be a lot of clearing out, a lot of dead weight right there of players that aren't going to make that cut through there. I mean, it goes back to there because you're going to have to see what players are going to fit into the system with Wirtz in it, because Wirtz is going to change a lot of different things of how we play. Because you're going to have to, if you're going to invest this much money into a player, you have to go out there and think about what's his strong points that he has and where do you put him at in the side, which means there are players who don't fit that bill who are probably going to get moved on.
Could they not just sweeten the deal by buying everybody a 99 ice cream with a flake in it?
I mean, again, there's a part of this though, Matt, as well, where I think with Liverpool, and I think this is something I've been like kind of twirling around in my head for a while. It's good to have assets that's sellable. Liverpool have sellable assets at the moment as it stands. And I think sometimes you've got to let the stupid clubs do stupid things. So what I'm saying is you've got to let Barcelona sometimes go a bit late in the window and go, fuck it, we'll give you 80 million for Diaz. And then Liverpool can kind of act on the moment and be a bit, kind of, what opportunistic, I think I like to call it. I'll be opportunistic, go, fuck it, we'll do the 80 million for him and we'll do him. Because you've had him on the back burner. I think sometimes that's a part of this as well. It's a dance, isn't it, really? And go, well, Atletico Madrid are going to the Club World Cup. Well, if Alvarez gets injured for the season, we can ask another 15 million for Darwin Núñez. Do you know what I mean? If he breaks his leg there. So it's that kind of stuff as well. I think it all intertwines into being something that could be humongous, you know what I mean? But the one positive, that massive, well, there's lots of positive Liverpool at the moment, but the biggest one about this transfer, we have probably about fucking 12 sellable assets who you probably think, do you know what I mean? And I'm including players that you wouldn't like to talk about. But if someone offers you 100 million now for McAllister tomorrow, we're all sitting down having a chat, aren't we? So, I mean, listen, fella, I know, but that's how.
I know what you're saying, right? Yeah.
The guys in charge definitely are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's that kind of argument as well. So you just sometimes it's nice to have those little pieces in the background. What I'm getting at is when we get into the middle, like end of June, start of July. People are going, why is Darwin still here? Just fucking relax. He won't be here at the start. Just relax. Let the stupid clubs do stupid things. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's why, you know, we can kind of get ahead of ourselves. We want everything today, don't we? We want everything today. But again, structuring 130 million, whatever it is, deal is very hard to do.
And I think with the Arsenal,
wanting a 99 cone with a flake in it today, right now, Cozzy.
Listen, fella,
I want it now.
I like to shave it in the nuts myself. I'm all in.
I think with the Arsenal Zubimendi thing, that's just a PR thing with Arsenal. Like every time they go out of a cup competition, they did it with Man United. They went out to Man United, then they released the Zubimendi story. Then went out to Real Madrid, released the Zubimendi story again. Now they lose out on a striker, which they badly need in the lap. They release the story again. It's just Arsenal trying to keep their fans appeased and, you know, treat them like idiots that they are. And, you know, Chelsea would just buy anything. And, you know, screw PSR. They'll just buy anything that moves if they have a wind of getting a player.
I think Chelsea's such a weird one.
Delap is strange.
Not because it's just Delap, mate. I think there's players there, even if Liverpool could look at. I'm not just saying these with all as a joke, by the way, but I look at it like a player like Nkunku. Can he be a fifth or sixth choice? Can we get a tune out of him? He's still a good age. Do you know what I mean? Can we get the tune? Like, I just think they could be an opportunistic club, for example. Do you know what I mean? They could be someone who just do something silly. Do you know what I mean? Like, again, like just throw an £80 million bid in for Darwin Núñez and just do something daft because that's what they do. And sometimes you just need to let the silly clubs do silly things.
Now, talking about the transfers, Brian, there's a very what a beautiful picture that is behind Suzy there, and there's a very just think about that since 1959. That whole flag of managers, 1959. That many managers with that much success. It's fantastic. It's great to be Liverpool.
No, Brendan Rodgers on site.
No, Brendan Rodgers on site, but also no Gerard Houllier.
Thank God for Gerard Slip. He would have been fucking on there. Jesus.
But here's my question, Brian. It's very important. It's almost existential. Is Frimpong a wing back or a right back?
Okay, so as you said right there and there, if in a back three, he's a wing back. If you go there and play him with a back four, then he's a right back. But honestly, how forward he plays it there, I think that he can actually even go there and play the point right there. If you can put him up as a left. As a right wing position right there in that position as a backup for Mo at the same time, because I think he has the same capabilities and the same speed and actually the same delivery that he could actually do that. I mean, so I think that you have a potential with Bradley behind him to go in there to actually run him in that same. It may be an option right there in AFCON right there. If you think about this in the long run right there, if you have a player who could actually go in there and has that type of speed, has that ability to cross the ball, and is actually very offensive right there, then you can use him in that position. I think it's one of those little players right there that even like that clock white, that slot lights, those guys that you can plug and play in different spots right there, and they can get a job done to you. You know, I mean, kind of like how he likes Curtis Jones so much, because you can put Curtis Jones in different positions at midfield, and he'll do a job for you. And I think that Frimpong is going to basically be that type of player, but on that right side of being able to have that ability to even put him in like in a diamond midfield if you want to. You could go there and put him out as a right midfielder. You could go there and put him in. There's different places you can put him at and plug and play him, and and I think he'll work. And I think that's what's going to make him valuable to us right there in the long run.
Now, because you sent me some good diagrams, and we will show them when you need. But what you did tell us, we discussed before we went on there, I thought was incredibly interesting. And if you're not averse to it, I'd love you to share what you think the tactical plan may be with Frimpong and the move with Gravenberg, etc. Because I think it's a fascinating idea. What do you think might happen?
I think on the ball, I think he might slot to a 3 at the back. I think Gravenberg might start playing alongside centre half, and then Konate and Virgil splitting. And the reason why I'm saying that is that, first of all, he's flirted. He's done it a few times with Gravenberg playing centre half in a few certain moments in games. I think he did it at Fulham at home. I think he did Fulham away, maybe. I think he did it on the last day when he got sent off. Funny enough, he was the last man back. So he's flirted with that idea because I just think when you play a Frimpong, gents, and again, I'm not, we can discuss that later. But when you play a Frimpong and he is so attacking, the one thing Salah wants to do is maintain his width. I think Salah likes his width. I think he likes the long ball from Virgil and give me 5 seconds. Let me look around this. Okay, I can pick that pass. And he's very good at picking those passes out on the quick transitions. And I think when you play a player like Frimpong, who is running in beyond him, I think we become too narrow, where Salah and Frimpong could be just right next to each other. And I just don't think that would work in effect. That's why I think it's going to take more adjusting than what people think. I don't think it's just a plug and play. Again, I've looked at heat maps, I've looked at stats, I've looked at where positions and that. I just don't think it's as plug and play as what people think it is. Do you know what I mean? Go on, Brian. I know you want to say something. Go on, bro.
So I get totally what you're saying right there, and it goes back there. I mean, even the point of having a back five right there. If you have Kirkhead on one side, you have Frimpong on the other side right there to drop. I understand. I totally get what you're saying by dropping Gravenberch back and split Konate and Virgil. You basically go there and have a base right there, and you can use both those sides. I mean, if you have a defense, that'd be miserable right there to figure out where the ball is coming from. It's going to be on your left side or your right side. But the thing is, like you said right there, the problem is that Mo likes that width right there, which just means you need to go out there and teach Frimpong to actually be able to drop inside at there versus actually go out there and instead of hugging the touchline. That's
based on last season's formation. And that's why I've always said, and I've said this throughout the whole year, I don't know what a slot signing is. Mm-hmm. I don't know what a slot formation is because he played the hand that he was dealt, and of course he's played it brilliantly. But he played the hand he was dealt, and now he's starting to click this together. The reason why I want to show this is that heat map to me, gents, is not a right back. Whether you like that or not, I'm sorry, but that is not a right back. And I do have a comparison, I think, Mark, with Trent. By the way, I think this is 22-23. I think Trent is 22-23 as well. That may have Mark will go for you. Damn heat maps are just not it. Like they are honestly, he's so attacking. I'm not saying he can't be a good job. That's Trent's heat map from open play. 23-24, sorry. That's Trent's. So literally that is night and day of the average position of those two players on the pitch of what we're signing. I'm not saying he can't do a job at right back. That wasn't my point. I'm saying Liverpool have signed him based on his performances for Bayer Leverkusen, which we're at right wing back, which tells me if you're going to have outright pace in Kirkes and Frimpong and you're signing a proper 10 in the Wirtz, the way you get the best out of Wirtz is to kind of do a 3-5-2 diddle anyway off the ball. Mm-hmm. Off the ball. I think Liverpool reserve back to a 4-4-2 on the ball. Sorry, a 4-3-3 on the ball. Sorry, off the ball. I'm getting confused. Off the ball, 4-3-3. On the ball, more of a 3-5-2. Gravenberch doesn't score goals, gents. I don't think he scored a goal this season. No. So he doesn't score goals. But McAllister can score your goals. So what the three at the back allows you with the Kirkes and Frimpong is to push McAllister further up and go to Virgil getting in the box. And Szoboszlai, or if it's Szoboszlai and McAllister, you're running off them. You're running behind Wirtz and McAllister. You're doing those runs. The one thing I always don't like about Szoboszlai, he doesn't run in past the centre as much as I'd like him to. The one thing McAllister does is do that. Now with Kirkes coming in, gents, the reason why I'll keep thinking about this in my head, gets you the best out of Gakpo, not Diaz. I think it gets you the best out of Gakpo because if Kirkes is bombing on, I think Gakpo does like to cut in. He likes his width, but I think he's more comfortable being in that position in picking the right path. I think Diaz cuts in. Sometimes he just runs around like he's in a cul-de-sac, like a dog with a ball, and he doesn't even look up. I think Kirkes just cuts in and just runs. Sorry, Diaz just runs with his head down. And you're like, that's why I just think with those two signings, gents, and a Wirtz as an outright 10, Liverpool haven't had an outright 10 in years or played with one. We haven't played with an outright 10 in years. People can say, let's get it right. Henderson and Alvin Fabinho, we're not outright 10s. None of them. So it's a
Coutinho. That was the last one. Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
I don't think Coutinho was a number 10. I don't think he's a number 10.
I think for those 5 or 6 months before he left, he was playing 10. He was playing 10. But I always think it was more off the left-hand side. A little bit in between. I think it was a little bit weird on the left. But he was more attacking. He says, yeah, I'll probably give you that. He's a 10. And he left 7-8 years ago. So that's why I think Liverpool, and I don't think Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes, I think they're smart enough to not go, we're just going to sign players and go, but you can play there for me. And you can play there for me. That doesn't feel sustainable. I don't know. Does that feel right to you? Does that feel like the Liverpool way where you go, we'll just sign Vert and play him as a false 9 or a number 9. We'll just sign Frimpong and play him as a right back. That doesn't just feel like, I don't know. That doesn't feel like the Liverpool way. Maybe we are going a different direction. Maybe Slot wants something different. But what I was getting at is, gents, and again in the disco when we were having a bit of a laugh, and it was, to be honest, in the end, it was a bit of a laugh and a joke with me. We're signing him on the back of his performance as a right wing back. I'm not saying he can't play right back. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's going to take more adjusting than we think early on. Do you remember when we did a lot of Moreno early on the season, then Robertson just came in? I think it could be that with Bradley. I think it could be a lot of Bradley in the first 10 games. And people go, this Frimpong's a bit of a bust because they just could be working on him. They just could be working on him or tell them, well, yeah, you sit here for 10 games and watch Bradley. Do you know what I mean? You sit here and watch what he's doing with Salah and how he's linking up. I just think it could be a lot of that. And that's always I was trying to get at. That's all.
I think the biggest lesson in an overall life philosophy sense is that you can, because you've explained it exceptionally well here, is that text is often not the best way to explain a complex concept. Now, here's what I want to go back to, and I want to throw it out to the two boys, but Cozzy can go back to because it was his diagram. So first of all, here's Trent from this past season. You know, that's as wing backy also as you can get as well. It shows what I was talking about before we went on air. That you just go there, but that's neither here nor there. Here's your thing, because I think it fits into something Brian said. Right, there's the Frimpong heat map. Here is much the same one. I can't put them side by side because of the limits of the software, but that's Mo Salah.
Yeah,
it almost looks
similar,
identical. You know, so it maybe you're both right. I mean, I think that, you know, it's like hearing you say it and then being able to visualize it better. I think you might be on the ball there. I think that's it's not the first time we did it. Like Gerrard used to do. I hate to give him credit, but Brendan Rodgers did that with Gerrard. He dropped him into that centre half spot.
Yeah, Liverpool did that 13-14 did, but Liverpool did it a little bit last year.
Yeah,
Gravenberch just literally playing alongside centre half for like 20 minutes in games. So I think he was teasing it anyway, Mac. Yeah. I'm not saying we're going to start like Liverpool will think we're going to go 3 at the back and rip everything up, but don't think that. I just think there's going to be a lot of games when Liverpool have the ball. No, they're just going to get it. Because why would you sign 2 fullbacks with that much pace? By the way, quickest players I've ever seen in my life with that really good distribution and finishing. Why would you kind of saddle them to play proper fullbacks? Doesn't make sense to me. And
it works as well because if Gravenberch drops in, then McAllister can take that deep line spot. Then on top of that. Yeah.
And then Van Dijk and Konate. There's a party. Sorry, but I'll get you in. But there's a party where Van Dijk and Konate go, hey, we're used to defending as a 2 anyway. Gravenberch, we fancy it when we're really pressing in a game to step forward 10 yards anyway. Yeah. And don't worry about it. Do you know what I mean? Because we're here. Do you know what I mean? But go on, Brian.
So if you look at even the trends right there, 3-4-3 is dying. I mean, it's in a transition again. I mean, I think even you come to the point right there where you have like a Mo. If you're able to get Mo and have a solid number 9 somewhere in that point right there, you could have Mo as that free flowing kind of player alongside a number 9 right there, and still have your number 10 right there with Verts behind him, and still utilize right there as 5 midfielders in there with a back 3 right there, and still get the best out of both Frimpong, Bradley, and Mo all on that right-hand side. I think the one player that you're going to have that's an odd man out in this whole situation right there is one. I think that Diaz doesn't fit the system right there because he's a primarily a 3-4-3 type player, and I think you have to actually go back and put your arm around Cody and say, hey, guess what? You're going to have to want to learn how to play back toward that point right there with where McAllister's probably going to play. It kind of goes to what I was saying right there on Monday night right there about where players are going to wind up going to right there. Is that McAllister's going to wind up going there and being somewhere alongside that number 10 probably on your left hand side, where you're probably going to wind up having a player right there. Another one right there that is questionable, which it could be an asset that could be sold to Slabosly. I mean, in the long run right there, because again, you don't need that stretching player like that with the system right there. He's kind of obsolete right there with the system.
Now this is what I was trying to say. I think Liverpool will do a lot of that on the ball against the bottom 12. I think they'll do a lot of it like that on the ball. When you're so in control of the game and you're trying to break them down, I think he's learned a lot of Forest. And I'm not saying he's going to take tactical influence off Forest. I just think he's fucking scarred by them and what they did to him.
It's that low block. Yeah.
I think he's really frustrated by it. I think it's the one that keeps him up at night, kind of deal. And I think he knows he needs to have that second tactical switch in this day and age with this team. I just think it just screams that to me. And again, off the ball, I think we just do 4-3-3, what we've seen this season, a lot of that. But I think on the ball, when we're really pressing high, he's going to want to get them in the side. Florian Wirtz needs players running on him. If you're signing an outright 10, you need players. You need Gakpo cutting in and Salah cutting in. You need them two wings right there. Do you know what I mean? So he can do his bits. Again, we can sit there and like it all you like. And I've said this for 12 months. That manager might just be playing this system and formation based on the players that were available. Yes, it was successful, but he still might not want to do it. And I'll go back to the bigger point about this whole window with signings. Okay, this is important. Liverpool have 10 players out of contract in 2 years. People didn't know that, did you? We have 10 lads out of contract in 2 years. Some of the players you don't want, like an Endo and an Elliott, they might go. Curtis Jones out of contract, by the way, Luis Diaz and players like that. The big ones, Salah, Van Dijk, Ali's out of contract. But anyway, we're going to have to rebuild, gents. It is what it is. He might look at that now and go, well, I've got some credit in the bank because I've just delivered in the Premier League title. And it might just take a little bit of teething problems. And I think that, again, going back to the bigger point about the window, because I think this is important, that's why he wants them in before pre-season. I think that's why he wants them in, because he wants them in day one. I want to know the 3 or 4. If you want to be opportunistic down the line, Edwards and Hughes, and come and see me over the winger, sound off it. But I need these 3 or 4 now, right now, before pre-season kicks off, because I've got to work with them on a certain thing that I want to do. That's all.
So, Z, do you think...
do you think he's the right wing back? or the right back?
There's a great video that I've only watched clips of with Ian Graham doing the rounds on YouTube, and it's very informative. But it's very informative for me in 2 ways. Number one, that Brendan Rodgers was never going to work with that transfer committee because he wanted, as Ian Graham said, he wanted to be an old school British manager in control of everything. Klopp kind of had, he agreed with it, but he didn't quite agree with it. He wanted the scouting system to be what it is, but he also wanted to have a bit more say. And Slot is brought in as the head coach, not the manager of the team. Do you think with the, this seems very deliberate. Like what we're doing it's very deliberate. It's not like, what do we need? We want to sign Caicedo or Lavia because we need a 6 or an 8 that can play a 6. This seems very, here's the system. And as Kazi explained, I thought it was an excellent explanation. If we're going to have Salah be still the main attacking threat, but add to him, then we need to get these things in place to make sure it doesn't fall apart. Do you think this is a case where we're actually going to see, for once since 2010, 11, this whole thing is actually finally going to work, where the coach says, here's what I want to do. Here's the kind of profile of player I need to make it happen. And they go, we'll get you those players. Can't tell you who they're going to be, but we're going to get you those players. Do you think finally the whole thing's going to be joined up?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, so Slot earned his he earned his badges to he didn't ask for any players when he came in. And I think that was obviously music to Richard Hughes' ears and Edwards' ears. Like, he came in, so let me see what I can work with. I mean, Kazim mentioned it months ago. These players are probably the best players that he's ever had the privilege of managing, and including Nunes in that, and so he now he knows what he's capable of managing. He's come into a big club, he's come into a different type of mentality where he didn't have to G these players up. These players habitually were up for training, up for games, and so half of his job was done for him. Now he knows, he's buying himself into being an elite manager. Edwards and Years have put their trust in him. Obviously, they're not giving him a free reign like Ten Hag got, and he's just like, well, I want Anthony, we'll spend 80 million on him. I want Onana, we'll spend 50 million. It's not like that. I think Wirtz, Liverpool already were looking at Wirtz a few years ago, and Frimpong. So and that's what I was saying about earlier on about that Man United. They don't have a style of play. Liverpool have a style of play. We have a style of player that we want, and it's not just the name. Yeah, if you watch that Ian Graham interview, it's we don't just look at names. We look at other stuff like the personalities, the background, how they're brought up, and so forth. And that's why you don't see Liverpool players in the front pages of newspapers, and you don't see them getting drunk or nightclubs the night before a game and so forth. It's we have a certain way that we want to be represented in the press and the media, and those are the certain players those are the type of players we want. And everything about our club, has, for one of a better phrase, has been humble. We've just humbly got on with everything. We have a manager that doesn't make excuses. Our players, they literally, you can tell they all play for each other. They don't have to be best friends or anything else, but they play for each other. They play for the club. They play for the fans. And those are the sort of players we got. And I think the Verts, from what I've read, we've been wanting him for a long time. And he's just, the way he's performed, he can't, I think back in the day or 2 years ago, might have been like way out of our reach. But the way we conducted ourselves this season, and the fact that Slot actually spoke to him and he bought into Slot's plan, I think that was the final nail in the coffin for Wirtz to make up his mind. That says a lot about Slot. And we saw that with Klopp as well. He did that with Alisson, he did that with Van Dijk. He did that with Mane. And so I think Slot is going to get a little bit more power now. Obviously not to the point where Klopp got his power, where him and Edwards has butted heads. But I think with Slot, it's like, okay, look, I've proven myself. These are the type of players I want. If we can get them, great. And he's shown he's willing to work within his constraints. And it only bodes well for the future. And we've said it before. Kazi has said it before. We don't know Slot's type of player. Everyone before the season, that's not Slot's type of right back. Trent's not his type of right back. Salah's not his type of winger. We don't know. We don't know. Now we're going to find out the system that he wants to play with, and we saw that Slot would change things 6 times in one game to get what he wants. We saw that against Fulham when Robertson got sent off, and he literally changed. From the moment that Robertson got sent off to half-time, he changed the system about 4 or 5 times within games. So I think we'll probably see that throughout the season now. We might go from 4-3-3 to 3-4-3 to something else, all within the first half of a game, and the players are just buying into this. And there's a reason why Virgil van Dijk and Salah, they signed the 2-year extensions. They know the type of players we're going for. They probably know 99% of the players that are coming in, and they know how they're going to be utilized. And I think Salah, like he said himself, like he told Slot, if you want me to get your numbers, I can't defend. And he gave Salah that freedom to express himself. And I think that's only going to happen more. I think Salah will probably get more goals next season, bearing in mind we've got Frimpong coming in and Wirtz, and somehow or another we're going to fit all of these players in the system. Mm-hmm. I think Szoboszlai might be the odd one out in certain games. I don't see how Jones really breaks into this, because I think Jones is behind Szoboszlai in terms of the pecking order. But it's just horses for courses as well. Yeah. I think he'll literally just take each game as it comes. And I think, as Cud said, the Forest game, now with Frimpong coming in, that low block, all right, you want to low block us? We got something for that. And I think with every game, he's going to have a plan for every game.
Problem is I think it's important what he just said though. With a player like Jones, because he can play 3 different positions, he comes in handy. Mm-hmm. You can play across the. When Szoboszlai can kind of only play 1, I don't know if you can play him in that kind of 6 role coming back. I'm not sure. That's why Joe Gomez hung around for 3 years, because you can play across the back 4. They're dead hard to find, a centre half. You can play left back and right back. They're super, super difficult to find, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? And that's why you can do bits for you. Do you know what I mean? And by the way, people say, oh, he's injury prone. He played 51 games this season before. He played in 51 games, which means he was fit enough for 51 games. Do you know what I mean? As much as he's had his injuries. But again, I just feel like, with Liverpool, might be evolving. I think if Liverpool are going to evolve, I think this is a good time to evolve while you're ahead of the rest. And you really said, let's get right. Liverpool next week announced 3 signings, and it's those 3 signings we're talking about. Man City and Arsenal sitting in their chair and go, do you know what I mean? Like, where did we go? They just signed the best player in the Bundesliga. In our opinion, the best left back in the league based on last year, and one of the best attacking right backs in world football. So they must sit there and just think, like, what do we do? And I think if you are going to evolve, that's what I'm saying. Tactically, sometimes you can do it when you're on top. You can do it. That's what I'm saying. Again, I said this all the time, but like teams like West Ham, United, even if because they're down there in Spurs, if you want to make changes, you can, because the bottom 3 are garbage. You're not going down anyway. You may as well keep fucking throwing shit at it, because you're going to have enough points and enough goals to stay up anyway. So it's that kind of thing as well.
We could talk about this all night, but as the old saying goes, it's only Wirtz, and Wirtz is all I have to take your heart away. I hope you don't get copyright stricken for that. So there's no game this weekend for us other than the Champions League, but who cares about that? We're not in it. So we'll end tonight with Rule 433, and it's a special one for the boys because they have to think back hard to an opinion they may have had since the start of the season, or a prediction they made that didn't quite work out that they want to get rid of. Because he's convinced he hasn't got one. I'm possibly convinced he hasn't got one either. But they have to figure something out. So something you may have said, no matter how innocent or big
from
about
the season, last season, like
of
in
this
the summer.
So from the end of Klopp's era, to now. So because I've been looking at like all those videos, and I've really enjoyed watching, the pundits giving Liverpool no chance of anything. So if you had anything along those lines about a player, about the manager, about games, or about a team that we played against, or a campaign, you get to put it forward for Room 433, and it never gets seen again if you're successful. Brian, we'll start with you.
I'm hinging on what's going to happen in this transfer window, and that would be my criticism of Richard Hughes being on vacation and hopping around all over Europe. And I see like little images of him here, images of him here. It's like the Where's Waldo thing, where you circle right there. Oh, there's Richard Hughes here. No, he's over there. He's laying on the beach and stuff like that. I will go in there and eat my words right there if these 3 signings come through, and then I will go in there and jump in the Room 433 right with it.
What do we think, boys? Is that a fair one?
I mean, it is fair. Yeah. Well, actually, based on right now, probably not, right? I think your opinion's valid until they're through the door.
I'd say we got to see some proof in the pudding.
Maybe next week.
It's a pending opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
So Salah and Virgil extended. So just based on that. Yeah, I'll go with
I mean, listen, it's not great. It might not look, but it might look worse over time, is what I'm saying. Right, it's bad now, but it could get worse in 3 months.
I think that one's just dangling his feet over Room 433 because he may yet prove you right, and that he hasn't been doing any work. And to be fair, there's only one man that's ever been involved in Liverpool that can go on holiday and sign players, and he's not with us anymr. And he was only here for a few months, and he was great.
The
George Macka, brilliant. Mr. Badwood says the collective egg on faces for the Richard Hughes takes by everyone. It's so far we've only got Chiesa as proof. Not a good look so far. And Armadashvili. Not a good look so far. He's not doing great, but we'll all have. I think we'll all like to have the egg on our faces if he pulls all these things off. I think we'll be slathering it on our faces on the Thursday night podcast. So that's a tentative one, Brian. You don't have to put it in quite yet. That's dangling its feet. The jury's out. Yeah, he's in the door jam, in the door frame. It's either in or out. So Zay, what have you got for us?
My preseason prediction, obviously apart from Liverpool in the league, was Forrest going down and Nuno to be the first to be fired.
Oh,
so that all went pear-shaped.
I mean, listen, Forrest have surprised everyone, haven't they? Do you know what I mean? They really have, and I do kind of agree with you. You know what, mate? I'm not far away from giving that a prediction for next season, to be honest. But I'll see what happens. Yeah. I just think there's only so many times you can score with your first goal and defend. I just think that eventually you get found out. And towards the end, you did. towards the end, he kind of did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't look great on paper, to be fair, fella. It really doesn't. But yeah, one of them.
What do you think, Brian?
I mean, I'm going to go with that but I think it's be more so. Your prediction is probably going to be right next year, right there, because without Gibbs White, I think that's a sinking ship. But right now, I'd say yes, I can go to 4-3-3.
Yeah,
we'll stick that one in, and maybe that'll ease the burden for Arnie Slot as well while he's at it. You can have a peaceful night's sleep. Mr. Madden says the Salah and VVD extension should count as well. I'm not sure about that because we spent weeks and weeks and weeks complaining that Salah was saying he hasn't even been spoken to. So either he's a lying bastard or Hughes wasn't doing his job. That's why the jury's out.
And I would say he's a lying. No, and not. Of course not.
But yeah, I mean, we want it to work well. It's the same with everything else. We want Liverpool to be successful, but we can.
No one wants Liverpool to sign a play and go, I hope he's shit. Like,
I don't know. I said that with Paul Konchesky. Christian Poulsen, I wasn't bad about. Like, I wasn't. He turned out to be bad, but he was actually quite good for Ajax. So I was a bit hopeful about him. But Paul Konchesky, that was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I just think
give me a tenth of the money and I'll do just as well.
I couldn't agree more with that. It's like Nunes, and it's like we all want him to work out. We all want him to score 100 million goals. Because if he does, Liverpool win loads of trophies, and that's good.
But he keeps proving us right.
But he keeps proving me right. Shit.
Cozzy, you've had time. We gave you the most time. We got you to the end to see if you could scrape something from the barrel of your brain of opinions.
I'm pretty sure I said Spurs. I finished fourth, I think, which is pretty bad now looking. But I still hold my ground on the Spurs are a really good team if all the players are fit. And I just think the injury issues that they had throughout the season has really curtailed them. I think he got to January and he just kind of gave up on the league. I think he kind of mentioned that, didn't he? Said when we got to the semi-finals of the League Cup, I was like, well, let's just win one of these. We're not finishing in the Champions League, so let's just win one of these. But nowhere near good enough. But yeah, I think I said Spurs will finish at fourth and they finished 17th, so that's good.
I mean, to be fair, you are right. On paper, at the start of the season, it looked like a good squad, and Ange looks, he's as stubborn as any manager Spurs have had with an ideal, but you never thought it was going to go that badly.
No. Yeah. I like Solanke, I like Maddison. It's good when you look at the teammates. Again, this is why I was so confident that they'll beat United in the Europa League. I was so confident when they got better players off the pitch, and that's just something. And again, I actually if you look at the team who finished sixth in Forest, I think they're a better squad than Forest. Whether people like that or not, I think they are. You know what I mean? So, and I think I'm not saying they're better than Villa, but I think they have a squad that are capable of competing with Villa, who finished fifth. So,
I think you get to put that in 4-3-3. I think that goes in 4-3-3.
And accountability.
There you go. Found something.
I'm with you. I actually thought they were going to be better without Harry Kane. I thought they were going to actually be a more free-flowing side, and I thought they were going to be a lot higher. I never thought in the world they were going to be 17th.
I should have said.
I think they were, though. I think they scored plenty of goals. It's just they couldn't keep it out of the back of the net.
They scored 26 more goals than United, or something ridiculous. Like, it was a joke. Like the stat, I think it was a crazy. I think that Macka bring their goal difference up and they finished 17th. Their goal difference is nuts. I think it's a bit skewed because they conceded 4 on the last day. But I think it was like -3. It's not even that bad.
They were the 6th top scorers.
and they were playing without a goalkeeper for a while. Remember that Kinsley that they signed, that Kinski or something that he signed?
They were the 5th worst defenders.
This is my point.
A goal difference of -1. Like that's how crazy it is.
They couldn't get Romero or Van der Ven on the pitch. That's the problem. They couldn't get the centre halves on the pitch. And Liverpool have been there, by the way. Of course, you didn't finish 17th, but Liverpool have been there. When you lose all the players in the same position, it's fucking difficult. Do you know what I mean? It really is. But again, they still got Champions League football, so can I technically be morally right? I'm not sure. But, it is what it is. Yeah, I said they'll finish 4th. They got
we finished top scorers and 2nd best defenders.
Fantastic stuff. That's LA. Arteta might have an open top bus parade like United for the best defender.
He's going to have an open bus parade for the best fried chicken he's made on his George Foreman grill in months and months and months.
Maybe he's just had the Charity Shields on there.
There you go. Yeah.
Everything.
I mean, it's a shame that we don't really do the sharing thing so much. You don't ever see that anymore because that'd be great. You'd have to share his open bus parade.
The sharing the trophy, the community shield. For our fans who don't know, if the Americans, when you drew the community shields, you used to share the trophy. You used to have one half of one team and the other half of the other. I think that stopped around mid-90s, early 90s.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, somewhere around there.
There you go.
And it used to be between the league champions and the FA Cup champions.
That's still what it is now, but it's just
it was first and second place for a bit as well.
Only when the FA Cup win is the same.
That's only because
the FA Cup winner is the same as the league title.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So if they did the double, then that's why we played Arsenal 1 year and lost because Liverpool won the league, and I can't remember anyway.
But what was I going to say? Brian's the only one that's dangling in room 433.
Jordy's out, Brian. Ask me again in 2 weeks.
Yep. Next week. We'll see what happens next week.
Maybe he called Jorg and asked him for some tips, and Jorg just went, "Just go on holiday, mate. It's dead easy. This transfer arc is really easy. Just go on holiday. You'll be fine."
It's fucking great. Just go on slack.
Go to Torremolinos. You'll be fine.
Just send them money gifts like that to
there you go. So with that said, that was because there's no games to look forward. I'm going to get to watch the Champions League.
Before we wrap it up, I know it's been a long one, right? What's your bold prediction from now for next season?
My bold prediction is my bold prediction is League and Champions League double.
That's fucking bold as well. Go ahead, Brian.
I think League and FA Cup.
No, it doesn't have to be about Liverpool, by the way. If we got another team, anything.
I think the one thing I think that it's going to be a tight push with the league right there, but I think that we've got a better side right there, and I think Champions League right there. It depends on what Real Madrid actually does, because I think that Real Madrid team may be very, very dangerous now right there. As if they add any more players besides Trent into that mix right there, which I think they're adding another left back in there next week also. So that could be a dangerous side. But I think so. I think the Champions League may just be a little bit out of reach right there. But I think that we can do the league again.
I'm going to add to mine. Okay. Liverpool League and Champions League double. United get relegated.
That's never.
I was going to say that.
I think they're in more trouble than we think. If they stick with Ruben Amorim for half a season.
Liverpool League, Champions League, Man United get relegated, and Pep leaves before December.
Ooh. Oh, I like that.
that.
Wow.
That's a bit naughty. I like a little bit of spice. I've got a few, really. I think Everton are going to finish top 10. I think Everton have a really good season. Chance for you.
Yeah.
I just think they got rid of a lot of the deadwood, and they might sign. Moyes is really clever and shrewd, and might sign a few boss players.
Moyes is a very good top 10 coach as well.
That's what I'm saying, and that's exactly what he might need.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, would be like a record high for Everton, like 5 years.
Yeah.
My big outsider, I think Arteta's gone by Christmas. I think he might fall off.
Yeah.
I think if they, I really want to see the fixtures. But if they start a tough first 6 and they don't get going, it's like it's already. And then Liverpool have a 5-point lead in the first 6 games, and the fans are already looking. And we already know what those fans are like, mate. They're very fickle, and they will turn quick. And if he doesn't sign the players that they want, i.e. a striker or another one, I think that could be the big one for Arsenal.
I think the Zubimendi signing is a weird signing. I just don't understand it right there. It kind of goes and I understand that Partey's going to leave right there, but where do you put Zubimendi into that side right there? That's the thing.
You reckon Partey's staying? You reckon they're negotiating a thing?
So then, what do you do with him? Because you have Declan Rice sitting in that spot.
I think he wants Partey and Rice alongside because Jorginho was going. Sorry, I think he wants Zubimendi and Partey and getting Rice in his 8 because I think Rice's best role is behind that team. When he's making those runs really good against Madrid, I think that's his best role. But again, I don't think it's the most pressing matter to deal with. And by the way, other part of this prediction: first manager sacked, Graham Potter.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Graham Potter.
I can see that.
Honestly, you can't play against Forest at home in your last day of the season at home and start 11 defensive players. You just can't.
I just want to watch Arsenal TV for the. He's got to go, fam. He's got to go, blood. He's got to go, fam. He's got to go, blood. He's got to go, fam.
Yeah. Sunderland, Man United, and West Ham to be relegated is some fucking stretch, fella. You're really putting some eggs in the Scott Parker basket there, mate.
I don't. Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
I don't know about West Ham.
I don't think Sunderland goes down. I don't think
Sunderland goes down.
I think Sunderland and the Leeds are big clubs and they feel like they belong there.
Yeah,
and I think that helps a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, now we're a Premiership club. Like this is us. But Scott Parker, I'm honestly, don't.
Indians brave Scotty Parker.
Yeah, mate, don't, mate. I can't.
You know, Major will go before him. Fark will go there, go before him.
Ooh.
Leeds, because Leeds are in trouble.
Leeds,
huh?
I don't think he starts the season.
You know what, mate? I know, seriously, what you're thinking there. There's already little rumours about it, isn't it? Like they might do a change, and he might not be getting the standings that he requires, that he wants. Because he said in January he wanted, I can't remember, it was a forward or something he wanted, and he didn't get it. And he's already called out the owners a few times in the press conference. And it's like, it's okay calling them out when you got a 15-point lead or something. Or it wasn't a 15-point lead, but they were challenging for the league towards the end at least. And it's like, yeah, Sizzy, I could see that, I could see that. Yeah, honestly. Because also you're protecting your reputation. It's like if I'm on walks now, Ruben Amorim can walk and just go, they're bad shit crazy. That's not on me.
Yeah.
Go somewhere. Do you know what I mean? You protected your rep. Ain't it? Walk out now. Can't deal. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I love the time off, though. I love the summers off.
You think Nuno's actually going to make it to the next season? That's the one that was big question. Because him and that chairman right there, that's a.
I'm going to piggyback on Suzy's. Farke gets fired by Leeds before the start of the season. Nuno takes over.
Ooh,
that is good. I think managing big. I think managing Europe for Forest could be big for him to stay for that. But it's bold. I like it. I'm a fan. I am a fan. I think there's a.
The older you get, the bigger your balls.
I think there's a big conversation around Kieran McKenna. I think there's a big conversation around the Leeds and Kieran McKenna if they do it. I just think they like him, and I just think I know he's got relegated with Ipswich before anyone says, but Ipswich were not a good team, and I think this Leeds side is better with players like Willie Notto and that. I think they're, you know what I mean. They're a better team. But yeah, I like the summers off, man. But I love the kind of speculation of the summer as well.
I think just on McKenna, I think the thing that goes in his favour is they always look like they were trying. They just didn't have the quality, as opposed to Southampton, were just, you got to do this again this week. Oh, come on.
Yeah, Southampton look like they hated footy. And I love that about football, when you just look like, you just don't want to be here as much as we do.
They didn't have any other players. They had no players to sell to us, so they just want a parachute payment and just go back down.
And this is me pointing around the relegation chat that we had a few weeks ago. Stop coming up and taking the money and going back down. Fucking come up and have a go, please. And that's why I'm made up Sunderland got up. I really am made up because I think they will have more of a go than Sheffield United. Yeah. I really do. Yeah. And fucking the big signing, big breakout player. Everyone will be watching. I'm not saying he's going to be good. Is that Joe Bellingham, innit? Oh, Joe Bellingham's going to come in the gig.
Keeper.
He's centre mid, Sunderland fella. He's great enough.
Their keeper's brilliant. Their keeper's brilliant in Sunderland.
But I'm saying everyone's going to be talking about Job as soon as he does a little turn. Like Cole Palmer, innit? Cole Palmer's the greatest thing since sliced bread. He's the most box standard winger ever. And you're like, oh my God. Honestly.
I'm waiting to see whether Henderson actually comes back to Sunderland right there and actually goes for that last go right there, which I think is a good possibility. I think he may end his career there.
I think James Milner's going to Leeds. I think Milner might go back to Leeds.
I can see that.
Yeah. Why not?
And you can still break the record there, can't you?
Into the youth program.
Yeah, I think he's going to 15 appearances short of Gareth Barry to break the record, and I think he's got more chance of getting him at Leeds than he has. Brighton. So
yeah.
Right. With that said, gentlemen, it's nearly beddy boys for us all. We need our beauty. We don't need much beauty sleep because we're handsome chappies as it is, but we need a little bit. So if you've been watching and enjoying the show tonight, and you should have done because we got Cozzy to admit he had a bad opinion at one time during the season, in small as it might be. Make sure you're following us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, Blue Sky, Mastodon, TV3, BBC 4, and Channel 5, whatever you are having yourself, as they say. Brian, Cozzy, and Suzy, thank you as always. It's been a pleasure. and morning coffee is tomorrow. And then keep an eye out if you're linked and subscribed and getting those notifications for anything happening for the Champions League final this Saturday, which I will get to watch. Surprisingly, it's weird how sometimes it works out. Yeah, get not scheduled to work on a day with us again very much. But for everybody else, we talked about at the start of the show, but as much as we talk about soccer is just football. Sorry, is just a game. In the end, we love it and we enjoy it, but we also want to get home at the end of it, without some crazy loon running into us in a car. So thoughts and prayers with everybody there, and we will see everybody next time. Peace out. Have a good one. Here is some funky music that is not trap.